Okay. This is Raleigh Conservation Commission meeting of July 8th, 2014. This meeting of the Raleigh Conservation Commission is hereby called to order under authority of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Town of Raleigh Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the Stormwater Management and Erosion Control Bylaw. And I'll call the roll for attendance. Dave DeMonica.
Here.
Bob Garner.
Here.
Judy Keys.
Here.
Absent. Kurt Turner.
Here.
Doug Watson. Absent. Do you have a quorum present? I guess with Mr. Turner here and Mr. Watson not.
We need a consensus as to who's going to be the acting chair. Anybody want the job? Okay. Consensus of the chief. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce Mr. Arthur Page, who is in the green shirt over there, who is a prospective member of the Conservation Commission, has indicated his interest in it, and has given us some materials. I hope you had a chance to look them over. If you have any questions, I'm sure you'd be happy to answer them. He has quite a background in terms of employment history and working for other conservation commissions in the various matters pertaining to the environment, and lives in a beautifully sensitive environment himself. He's been the subject of orders in the past, approval orders, I might add. I do have a question as to what kind of work you did for or with the Newbury Conservation Commission?
I've done several cleanup sites of wetlands that were damaged, and the people didn't comply, so I did cleanup for them. Currently, right now, I'm doing several large beaver projects where they're losing the road. I'm working, the highway department there is at a loss as to what to do. And then I have built several deceivers for them. 2 of them just completed off of Middle Road. And I mowed some Phragmites stuff for the town when I was doing town mowing.
You've done some work for the town of Raleigh in the past, too, worked on
Yes.
various commissions, the Clam Commission?
Shellfish Commission, yep. And the mosquito, back when they had a mosquito commission. Worked on that.
Certainly have done a lot of public interest work kind of thing. Folks have any questions?
Maybe Mr. Page would care to share with the commission his interest in serving on the Conservation Commission.
Yes. Why?
Yes.
Along with all your other things, why would you like to?
My everyday work, what I do at as the owner of Redgate Farms is I work, mostly it's all in Hamilton, in that area. I work for Essex County Trail Association, constructing, designing, repairing horse trails and walking trails that they have. And then I also do all of Bradley Palmer and Willowdale. So I'm working out in this, I'm working with all the conservation agencies down there. I do not do that much work other than what I used to do for the highway department in Rowley. But I've had several occasions to work with Brett and do stuff, well, advise Brett. I do all the beaver stuff in Raleigh right now, the way they have. So I just thought, since I'm in this field, that I might be able to add something or even learn something, because I'm dealing with every one of the towns, Topsfield, Hamilton, Essex, Ipswich, all of those.
Well, we've had a long-standing vacancy, and we certainly welcome your interest.
Yeah.
Have you submitted a letter to the selectmen?
Yes, I have.
So have they given you any, excuse me, any indication of when they?
All I've heard from the selectmen that I spoke to is they were going to wait to hear from your recommendation from you people.
They're hoping for this coming Monday's.
I think that's what they said, yeah.
Because they asked me today if Mr. Page had met with the commission yet. And I said, wait till tonight.
Is everybody comfortable with the letter of recommendation?
Absolutely.
Going from Brent to the selectmen? All feel comfortable with that, and I understand that there, I don't know whether there are any other applicants or not, I know that one person seems
Yes,
to
Mr. Vogel.
withdraw.
Mr. Vogel, who met with the commission, maybe now it was a month and a half or something.
So he is still a viable candidate.
He withdrew?
No.
There's another couple.
No. I'm sorry, I interpreted the question of if there was another viable candidate, and I was answering that.
Well, I think that question was implied as well, so
Yeah.
it was a good answer, so. Have we submitted a letter of recommendation to the selectmen with regard to him?
Yes.
So we'll have two people to consider. Let's hope
Yes.
we can get a timely decision on, we certainly welcome your input.
Okay.
Rowley needs a lot of assistance on various committees, and it certainly hampers our work when we don't have a full group to deliberate on things, because sometimes there are conflicts of interest, and I assume if you become the member that you'll have some conflicts of interest and won't be able to vote, if you're doing deeper projects in town, we're considering that. So
Exactly.
I'm sure you're quite familiar with all that.
Yeah, no, very.
Well, anyway, you're welcome to stay as long as you like this evening, and or you're welcome to leave and go home and watch,
Okay, don't go home and watch it on TV.
watch the Red Sox.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
If I may, I request.
Housekeeping to take care of.
Bills. This is a request for authorizing our payment of dues to the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions.
We have to vote on that, or did we vote on it? Or is that?
I don't ever remember us voting on it.
This is certainly the time to discuss, but in the 10 years that I've served here, the commission has always chosen to be a member of. Certainly encourage us to take advantage of all the opportunities that membership does entail. I certainly reach out to them at various times.
Always send out some good material, too. We get lower fees if we attempt some of their events.
So if I may have just your initials date on that. And then if I may request approval of payroll for myself.
How was your vacation in Pittsburgh, by the way?
Very nice. It actually was great. Pittsburgh is a very interesting city. It's amazing the transformation on the rivers. Just like the Stone Hills were never ever there, except for some of the bridges. I went to one site when they completely redone western side. It was the Monongahela.
Monongahela?
Yeah, they kept some of the steel ingots,
Yeah.
and they kept the mill was so big, it was on both sides of the river, and it was at least a mile in length on both sides. And it had its own railroad bridge, specifically for rail cars that would carry these big steel ingots, which they had some of the ingots that are. But they've done they've done a bikeway, walking trail up that whole side of the river. And behind it is all professional retail, as well as condos, apartments.
When I first became an environmental consultant, that was one of the first jobs. The river was on fire. You gotta clean that baby up.
That's the
Yeah, that was,
explanation of my hours.
that's why I know it. Yeah.
Like Chicago.
Thank you very much. Also, just briefly, Mr. DeCoulis stopped by this morning and deposited, or gave me a check to deposit for $1,000 to initiate the review, the further review by Corson Whitten, our consultants on stormwater technical regulations for that project, since it got substantially revised from what we anticipated.
Does that mean it's continued?
Well, we'll get to that, yes. All right, we did request, but now we should. Do things in a timely manner, we should. What's up that far? I got it. Excuse me.
A legal notice, the Raleigh Conservation Commission, in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, Massachusetts General Law 131, Section 40, as amended, the Town of Raleigh Wetlands Protection Bylaw. A public meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 8th, 2014, at 7:45 p.m. at the Room 5 of the Town Hall Annex at 39 Central Street to consider a request for determination of applicability application filed by Shirley Kimball for proposed construction of a subsurface sewage disposal system possibly within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands at 30 Curly Avenue, map 15, parcel 52, in Raleigh, Massachusetts.
Hello.
Hello.
Tom Manetta, representing Shirley Kimball tonight. We were here, I don't know, about a month or so ago for permission, I don't know if the board remembers, permission to do the soil testing. The entire lot's basically within the 100-foot buffer zone. So we did the testing where we had proposed, and you can, on this plan, the green is the proposed system, and the orange is the 50-foot offset from the wetlands, and the yellow is the 100. So we've maintained a distance of 54 feet from the grading point of the septic system to the wetlands, and the actual leaching field is 65. So it is raised about 1.5 feet. It is a pump system based on water table. We're unable to get a gravity system, but you know it is all contained within that 50-foot area.
Appreciate your coloring your maps. Yeah, really helpful.
You want to go over the revision to the plan
Yes,
based on the site
yeah,
visit?
Yeah, so we had a site walk, and originally I had the hay bales following the 50-foot buffer zone, and it came to the corner of the house, but what we've done is jog them, because this is really the only access for the trucks. If we come through on the side of the house, we'll have to take out all the landscaping. You know, there's some pretty nice size rhododendrons and things like that along here. So what we did is, from the plan that you have in front of you to the plan that's getting handed out now, we just jogged this hay bale line around just for the trucks to get in and out. It's an all, you know, it's an all grassed area. There's no clearing required to do that. Basically, they just be going over the lawn.
So it was just access to
It's just access to
Construct the system.
to construct the system, yeah, right, exactly.
I have a question of something on your plans, on both plans.
Okay.
Out of curiosity. Board of Health approved this?
Yes.
Because you've got a note on your plan that the required setback from the property line is 30 feet, and you're only 10 feet away from it, so I assume they gave you a variance on that.
Yes, yeah, it's very typical. Raleigh, local Raleigh regs are 30 feet, the state is 10.
And I had a question out of curiosity. I've got a note on here saying that prior to backfilling, contractor to install magnetic tape above all components of blank. What's the magnetic tape do? Why?
Oh, so that they can find it with, later on after they backfill, if you send some, like dig safe, something like that, they actually have a wand that can go out and locate the system.
Where are they?
Good idea.
Brent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, the commission should have a memo dated today that sets forth 8 conditions which are relatively standard.
You've seen that number?
I have, yes,
You're comfortable with everything that's in there?
I am.
Remember, any members of the public here who would like to comment? Ask questions, whatever, okay, thank you. Well, I guess we're looking for a vote to close the hearing and issue a negative determination, option 3, with the conditions as indicated in Brett's memo.
So moved.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None?
So, thank you.
Unanimous. Want to hang around?
Yeah.
Delayed your departure.
What's that?
Delayed your departure.
This, right?
We did
Red
one-
Sox probably haven't done much anyway, so.
I was telling somebody earlier this evening that the only thing more boring than Red Sox is soccer. You don't agree with that?
No, soccer's cool. Soccer's cool. At least not the game against, not the game today. Yeah.
I couldn't believe you had to go get your shots and then you play soccer.
Where does one get magnetic tape?
Actually, you know, I don't know, but I know that E.J. Prescott, Middleton sells it. I don't know if it's any place around here that has it. Any of the pipe supply,
Yeah, I was
plumbing
gonna say,
places.
plumbing
Yeah.
supply, pipe fittings.
FW Webb.
Yeah, yeah, probably right here in Ipswich too.
It's becoming an industry standard.
It
now.
is, yeah, yeah.
When you go to your pipeline, it serves 2 purposes. You can dig down and physically see the tape. And of course, as you said, mentioned earlier, you can find it without disturbing the soil with like an M-scope or something.
Great idea.
Yeah, so it's,
Mr. Chairman,
It's a great
can I have a
system.
copy of this with the,
So, might get some of these people searching for buried treasure with magnetic. Digging up your pipes.
Everybody's septic.
The gas.
Good luck to them.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
It's just a plastic tape with particles
It's
in it?
two-sided. It's plastic on top and it's like a very thin sheet of aluminum or something
Oh, metal,
on the bottom.
yeah.
It's some kind of thin metal.
Well, if it's magnetic,
It's like a
it's
two-ply,
steel.
you know, plastic and a very metallic bottom.
Charlie's here. Charlie's here?
I don't know. I don't see it.
Oh.
Imagine we would.
quite 8 o'clock, but I'm going to read this anyway. Legal notice, in accordance with the Town of Raleigh Stormwater Management and Erosion Control Bylaw as amended. Public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July 8th, 2014 at 8 p.m. at the Town Hall Annex located at 39 Central Street to consider a stormwater management permit application filed by AG Construction, Inc. for proposed construction of 3 residential dwellings, sewage disposal systems, stormwater drainage, grading, and other utilities at 314, 316, and 320 Weathersfield Street, map 18, parcel 5, lots 21-1, 22-2, and 22-3, in Raleigh, Massachusetts. Yes, Charlie, right on time. Actually, 2 minutes early. I'm not an abutter to this, but I'm a noise abutter. I hear all the chainsaw activity.
Johnny and Nathan. Same.
You're up, we just read the legal. Just read the legal notice.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you said it was 8 o'clock.
Well, we moved the clock in.
Let me get a plan up there. I'm holding up the proceedings. Thank you for.
Take your time.
What's on first, Weathersfield?
Yes.
I think this, for the record, Charlie Ware, Meridian Associates, and I think that most of the commission, I think you're familiar with the site. Sandy Patrick built a common driveway to 3 residential lots, and it was the subject of an order of conditions several years ago. There was a stream crossing and wetland replication, I believe. That was all closed out some time ago. This evening, it's been sold to AG Construction. I have, is it Anthony and Anthony one and Anthony two.
Anthony and who?
They're both Anthony, Anthony Jr. and Anthony Senior.
What's the last name?
Ravelisi.
Thank you.
No problem.
And they're going to be building 3 homes on this site. What I did is I filed, we filed for a single stormwater permit. There's 3 separate plans, just to try to keep it simple. There had already been 3 plans that had been produced for the septic systems, and then later, as part of the special permit that the planning board approved for the common driveway, they had required infiltration systems go in, and I'll go through all 3 sheets in the end, but the roof truck will go through those infiltration systems. So that was all put together actually some time ago, and we updated the plans a little bit more to bring it into compliance with some of the requirements of the stormwater permit, and that's what you see filed. Rather than combining it all into one plan and go through that drafting expense, I just proposed 3 different plans. So this is, probably start from the bottom up. The existing common driveway is probably right in the way. The existing common drive comes up and ends right about here. The first house will be on the right. And these houses are actually 60 by 40. The houses they're going to install are actually a little bit smaller. They're like, what, 20?
Little 40 by 70, I believe.
They're 40 by 70, but the houses you're doing are considerably smaller. They're
Yes.
like 24, well, The garage is
28.
a 24, 28, they step out, so 28 by 36 or so. We basically held them inside the footprint of the building. They've been staked in the field already. Septic systems out in front have already been approved. On this particular one, there is an infiltration system at the end that will take all the rooftops. One of the things we've done is in staying outside the buffer zones. We're not proposing any work in the buffer zones. Essentially, that it's really an LID approach, so that any the roof water will go through the infiltration, and any storm water that comes off of the driveways has a long way to run, first over lawns and then through the woods to get to the wetlands. So by the time any of that storm water reaches the wetlands, it's picked up pre-treatment. Not pre-treatment, but treatment, so that it protects the wetlands. What we did is we went through technically, I guess it's a three residential lots. That's exempt from the stormwater management policy, but I still went through the stormwater management standards, and I think we come, pretty close to meeting all of those standards in spirit, if not in fact. And we do that through the use of the infiltration systems, and again, the LID credits of placing the work away from the buffer zones. We're proposing 2 construction entrances. When I met with Brent yesterday, he suggested we move this one over into this location, which I concur is a better location. The second lot is again the lighter gray. This is the lot I was just going over. This is the middle lot. The lighter gray again is the common driveway. This circle was part of the requirement of the special permit of the common driveway. It gives a place for emergency vehicles to turn around. And this lot contains both a garage under on this house as well as septic system on the front. And again, there's 2 infiltration systems on the end, and you can see it's a pretty long run to any wetlands on the inside. There is, in addition to that, there's a common driveway which runs over to the third lot, which is here. And the third lot, we actually had tighter soils over in this area, so you see the larger septic system on this lot. And then again, the single family home. And again, this infiltration systems to capture the gutters will be directed into that. They're going to use, I guess it's I spec for erosion control, I spec the salt sock, the filter bit. You talking about using a strong wattle, is that what?
Yeah, I put that down today, around the whole perimeter.
Okay. So, which is probably superior to what I spec. And we've provided, like I said, an operation and maintenance report. And hopefully, I think that's got everything in it that we'd like to have. I did see Brent's report. I didn't read it closely, I just read it very quickly, the NIPD's permit. That's actually something that I didn't think of. I didn't realize. I was thinking that the individual lots are less than an acre, but the 3 lots altogether do make up more than an acre, so I think it probably is, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys about this yet, I think it requires a filing of the EPA. There's no public hearing process, but there is an application that needs to go into the EPA with this. I don't know, Grant, it's the 2 lots, maybe less, I thought they were gonna do the 2 lots, I thought that was, and then save the 3rd lot for later, at least that's what I discussed with the client. So I'm not sure if they do need it. You think
Now that
they do?
they've cleared it, the decision's been made.
Yeah, right.
It immediately it triggers applicability by the project
Yeah.
clearly being over an acre.
Yeah, it's over an acre.
So,
Okay.
and
Well, we can talk about that after the meeting. But there's a filing that needs to be done with the EPA, so. Short of that, I mean, it's a simple project. It's 3 homes with septic systems and
Do you want a hard
infiltration
copy of the
systems.
map?
Thank you very much. And I scanned this before the meeting. I really didn't have a chance. I don't know if I missed anything. I think I read the conclusion was that well, I'll let Brent talk. So, I'll shut up.
Conclusion is going to be authored by the commissioners, not
Yeah.
by their agent.
Listen to all right. I'm a little confused, Brent, by the need for an EPA filing as well as the recommendation to close the hearing. Those things basically separate.
Well,
One is not conditional on the other.
yes, although, well, I guess my thought on specifically talking about the stormwater pollution prevention plan, that again, we normally ask for that as a component of our stormwater management permit application, especially in situations like this where we believe the project, by the fact that it was uniform ownership and basically going to be handled as a project that then had perimeter controls around all 3 lots, we looked at it as being a project that triggered stormwater pollution prevention applicability under the construction general permit. And so I guess my feeling was that production of that document is kind of an administrative function, and that its review and approval could be an administrative function through the office if the commission so wanted to designate that way. In other words, irrespective of other items and concerns which are going to be discussed here tonight, that if the commission felt comfortable that you could still close the hearing and just allow that document to be accepted and reviewed in the office,
Okay.
since it needs to be done. Actually, some of the things that I mentioned in regards to like having a sanitary facility available for the workers on the site, that would normally be covered by the production of the SWIP permit, only because their template kind of includes those niceties so that you think of them instead of
Right.
just not thinking of it. So there's that item.
So you had other things,
Well, we kind of have sort of started on a little bit of a misstep here with a discussion about the possibility that the tree clearing could commence prior to the issuance of the permit and the establishment of perimeter erosion controls, because we have done that in a couple of other circumstances. The problem was there wasn't any specific feedback from the applicant about, okay, yes, we want to do that, and our timing is going to be such and such day we'd like to start, and so therefore I never knew that the site got staked out for the perimeter limit of work and for the erosion control. And so activities commenced out there without, which my normal procedure would be to converse with either Doug or yourself, Kurt, in your positions of leadership on the commission, to make sure that that was an okay thing to do. Our stormwater management permit is heavily focused on earth disturbance, and there really hasn't been any stumping or grading out there, although it seems the particular piece of equipment that this tree service company is using seems to be particularly abrasive to the soil cover, and has resulted in a fair amount of exposed bare soils, which was the reason why once I became aware of the activity and was on the site yesterday, I immediately called Mr. Gravellisi Jr. and requested that erosion control be put in, which I'm told it has been put in today and is going to be secured tomorrow, so I can certainly check that out. In regards to, let's see, I think there's just a,
So those things have sort of been caught up today.
yes, yes. The only slight issue of concern in the photograph, the two images that are closest to Commissioner Garner and Commissioner Keys shows that the tree service company apparently right after the recent rain event connected with Arthur went off of the paved driveway into the soft loam on the side of where the pavement ends. Now that's on the plans that have been submitted to us, that's where the change in shading occurs. The common driveway was paved up to a certain point, and there's two crushed stone longitudinal infiltration trenches that parallel just off the pavement, specifically because the driveway slopes up, and it was anticipated that that would help infiltrate runoff that was coming down the driveway from, in anticipation of when development activities took place there. Consequently, the tree service guy, not staying on the pavement, he created ruts which have been directing mud right squarely into the start of one of these stone infiltration trenches, which did not have any protective measures. And so, in terms of a site-specific recommendation, that's something that we need to take steps of to basically occur. Now that also points to the fact that we probably really should have had the establishment of the crushed stone entrance exit pad done, which if I had known this was going to, activity was going to commence, and understanding the fact that the width of the driveway is not wide enough for two vehicles, and I believe the tree service folks have at least 3 vehicles up there. At least they did the other day when I was there. So just a slight misstep that can be easily correctable, and it's not, it hasn't really gotten to the point where that it's knocked out the functioning of that stone infiltration. The majority of it is still functional, but it does need to be appropriately protected, and it certainly would help to have crushed stone pad there so that this tree service equipment would not be tracking down, because as you can see in the photograph, it goes almost all the way down to the stream crossing, which far exceeds 125 feet away from where it originates. So, but again, it's just a small situation.
Folks have any problems with that?
No. Well, they don't want to see their loam going down the driveway and ending up
No.
in the
I mean,
stream
there
anyway.
was this tire mark being put out Saturday morning, you left the tires running.
Yeah.
That's all it was. I
I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, but most people I know who have to pay for good loam don't like to see it going away.
Who's the tree folks?
Firm out of
Was
Woburn or
it
something?
Ken Sabner out of Wilmington?
Wilmington, New Beginning.
Mike?
All right, so I'm told the erosion controls have been put in. Spill containment kits were visible on the site. I also mentioned that there wasn't any sanitary facility, any porta-john or porta potty out there.
Naturally go with Dunkin' Donuts
That may be, I was a little concerned about him being all by himself and baking in the hot sun out there.
Yeah, he was alone.
He was moving very slowly.
Yeah.
But anyway. So basically, there needs to be a little bit of site adjustments done at this point in time. the submittals, except for not having the SWEP, the submittals are certainly adequate and appropriate for a project of this scope and for the stormwater BMPs that are being installed, and the configuration of the site and the driveway configurations and everything seems to be, the minimum that is required. We need the emergency vehicle turnaround there, so even though that results in a little bit more pavement, there's certainly a reason for it, since we're going to have 3 dwellings right there, which are a fair distance off of Weathersfield Street. So it would be not a good thing to try and be backing equipment out of there. It wouldn't make any sense at all. That driveway's what, like 600, 800 feet, right?
Yeah, I think it is about that long, yeah, it's a long way. So, and there's some turnoffs and things, but certainly haven't, especially, I mean, if a fire truck could back out, but it'd be nice to have in a situation, an ambulance, not to have an ambulance have to turn around, have that come out in an emergency situation. And that's all, this was vetted through the planning board process. That circle is exactly what the planning board approved. So the fire chief had his bite at that apple.
Okay, so I assume we're talking about a motion to close the hearing and issuing the stormwater management permit with conditions typical for residential dwelling construction and incorporating similar restrictions on ice preventive chemicals and chemical herbicides and pesticide uses as exist on the common driveway stream crossing of the site. The understanding that the tweakings will take place that we've been talking about, and that there will be a submittal to the Environmental Protection Agency, as discussed earlier. Is that it?
Right. Charlie, what do you anticipate would be the timing on developing the SWEP plan and submitting it?
I need to talk to the client about that, but I think I can get it done this week. So,
Do I hear a motion to the effect of what I just mentioned?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously.
Okay. And just to clarify, is the commission comfortable with the steps the property owner is taking, and also my direction on getting crushed stone entrance exit pad installed there? I would also say, pending, I should be able to go out to the site and inspect the erosion control tomorrow. Is it okay for tree clearing to proceed?
As long as you're comfortable with it, it's okay with me.
I agree.
Anybody else?
Yeah, no, the erosion control's down.
All right? Yes.
Charlie, just a quick question for you. I see a detail there for the infiltration chambers.
yep.
Where were they located next to the house?
So they
Are they
vary.
the corners of the house? Or?
Yeah, there's two, in this particular one, there's two, they're located here and here.
Or is that typical of the other two?
Not quite. It's typical of the middle one, where they're at the end. But then on the third one,
We could have a single one.
yeah, it has this, well, it's the same, they're butted up end to end. And it actually, in making the house smaller, the end of the house is gonna be a good, I think, 15 or 20 feet shorter. So it actually opens up a little bit of space. We were trying to keep that infiltration system outside of the buffer zone, so it was really squeezed. So with that small house, that'll fit in there a lot better. So,
Yeah, we actually had this discussion on site, because I noticed the staking and the plan was the potential that the occupant of the house wasn't even going to have enough grass to put a ladder on and get up and do
Yeah.
something. But then when Charlie related to me that that was a building envelope and your structures were actually smaller.
yeah, the footprint of the building, I'm just gonna try, it's probably more like that. And so there's a little more backyard. We even discussed the possibility, if they wanted to expand the yards, further than what's there now a little bit. They may be able to do that through the RDA process, but, I mean, that's not before you tonight, so.
How far back does the property line go from the back of the homes, heading south,
It's a long way.
before you get to all Sandy's other businesses? There's wetlands in there too, I know.
There's a wetlands in between.
Oh, here, I think you're showing,
Yeah,
you're showing
the
part of the
there it
boundary
is
line
right
there,
there.
so.
So it's probably about 150 feet, and then you have wetlands, and then Sandy's got his sandy land.
Good
Yeah.
man.
314 is the one that has the most interesting configuration.
Yeah.
Yeah. What style homes are you thinking of putting there?
Colonials, about 2,800 square foot colonials.
Do you have a price range in mind?
For a selling price, hopefully mid to high sixes.
I understand from the paper that you paid $500,000 for the 3 lots
Correct.
total, right? Not each.
No, in total.
Some
I hope so.
confusion over that.
Considering Sandy, but he got this through tax title, so.
Well,
I put some work in on it.
Oh, he did.
well, we'll look forward to 3 beautiful homes and new neighbors.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have another.
The final review is done in the park. There's no hearing, it's not a process. Are you familiar with it?
I did it 30 years ago.
Oh, I didn't know.
Pretty sure it did.
And they sent me the scan of the legal ads from the town common. That's Jean Blanchard, my senior
Oh, really?
senior
Yeah.
service assistant.
Yeah.
She went through the T. That's her right by your thumb.
Tree guy. Okay.
Anyways, good to see you.
We just figured, we're gonna do two houses, three lots at a time.
Yeah.
Move stuff around, it's easy to do. It's very tight. All right, I'll see you.
Stopped over at 406 Hayward Street today.
I saw.
10 minutes later, John Conflict drove in.
Next item, legal notice in accordance with Town of Raleigh Stormwater Management and Erosion Control Bylaw as amended. A public hearing will be held on Tuesday, July 8, 2014 at 8:15 p.m. at the Town Hall Annex located at 39 Central Street. To consider a stormwater management permit application filed by Gateway 2 Trust of 1997 for proposed construction of 4 industrial buildings, associated parking, grading, sewage disposal systems, stormwater drainage, and other utilities at 12-40 Forest Ridge Drive, map 7, parcel 9 in Raleigh, Massachusetts.
Right, this is another project I think that most of the commission is familiar with. Just up the hill from what's going to become the Clark School now, I guess. Where the retail center is at the bottom of the hill, just as you go to the top of the hill, is the second phase of the project, which is these 4, referred to as an incubator industrial. The intention of these buildings is that he would lease out, or maybe even condominiumize, I'm not sure, but I think he's planning on leasing them. Is to lease out spaces to, small firms that are just trying to get their feet on the ground and probably hope to grow into something bigger down the line. So that's why you call it an incubator industrial. This plan was actually, in this portion of the plan, was actually the subject, there was a single order of conditions issued when the retail center was constructed, and it included this work, it included this design. I almost said Sandy, when John finished the first phase of the retail portion, we realized that all of the other work was outside of the buffer zone. So we actually came in, got a certificate of compliance on that, and that order was closed out. The special permit for this is still active because it's, that the planning board granted, is still active because once the retail portion was approved, you have 2 years to start your work in your special permit. Because they completed the first phase, the second phase stays, that special permit will stay active indefinitely. So this is already approved by the planning board. This was reviewed and approved through the planning board. Larry Graham did the peer review of this all back in 2008. The one change that we have done to this, which I think is a vast improvement, is the septic systems are proposed here and here. The original septic systems were standard Title V systems. They were leach fields, and because they were tucked into the hill here, well, not so much this area, but although we did have high groundwater, so we had a wall proposed around this one, and on the secondly on this one we had a steep hill. The problem with leach fields is they're flat. You install them flat, so when you have a hill, you have to stay above the groundwater at the highest spot, so you end up with a wall on the outside edge. We've redesigned those systems and actually got some additional capacity out of them as well, without increasing the footprint of the septic, by using, it's called a perk-right system. It's called drip disposal, drip dispersal. And it's almost like an irrigation piping that gets used. It's pretty interesting technology. It actually existed. The technology actually existed in 2008 when we did this design, but we didn't. Back then, it's a general approval for the system that DEP has issued. Back then, the general approval required that you take the standard leaching field size and then double it and put in a field that is the drip dispersal of twice the size. So it really didn't make it practical. In the last 4 or 5 years, they finally realized that there's no point in that. So now the drip dispersal system just has to be the same size as a common system, and it really works quite. This is a fantastic application of the use, because this hill, it's a pretty steep hill. It's not over the top, but it's a steep hill, and we're able to put the system in right down with the hill. So other than, we will have to remove the vegetation, but we don't have to regrade the hill. There's no, I think we have a 10-foot retaining wall on the other one. This one will just be built right into the hill, and you'll see a grass field on the side of the hill now instead of seeing a 10-foot high retaining wall. And the same, I think this is the same way. This one here was about a 4-foot retaining wall. Again, we have high groundwater in this area, so we do have to mound it up a little bit, but not nearly as much. And we're able to off-grade much more gently. So, and we actually, we're actually, the fields are a little bit bigger, but because the walls aren't there, the development footprint is actually smaller. So we actually we reduced the impact and we increased the capacity. So it was kind of a no-brainer to change the design and go with this. Other than that, the design is exactly the same. And just to remind you that this development had the infiltration system at the bottom of the hill was built when we built the subdivision. We put the infiltration systems in to handle the full build out of the site. So that infiltration system is there and waiting. In addition, there's actually it's not on the sheet, but there's 2 infiltration systems on the front of this site. And all the stormwater is collected through the rooftops and catch basins. Some of it's directed into these infiltration systems and directed out into the street drains. And there's also a second, there's a second drain that comes down and goes through the retail site. So and that all ends up in the infiltration system down below. In addition to that, in this area, there's also a cistern. It's same as we did with phase one, where I believe it's a 20,000 gallon cistern that'll capture roof runoff and then be used to irrigate landscaping that's on the site. So it has some nice LID features. It meets all of the stormwater management standards that are required by DEP. And we've submitted, actually, what we did, because all of that stuff is still on file through the order conditions process, and also had been peer reviewed with Larry, we kept it simple. We filed the plans and the special permit that was approved as is provided for under the stormwater management. We saved a few trees, I think, from that one. But this is the same project you looked at a few years ago. I just want to refresh your memory on it a little bit. But
Could you go into a little bit of detail on how this drip system works?
I'll do the best I can.
I assume Ross Sewerage has a lot of paper in it. What keeps this thing
Well, actually,
plugging
no.
up?
It doesn't have a lot of paper in it. It has, because what happens is in your septic tank, the effluent that comes out of the septic tank only has the solids that are in that have been broken down. There's a T that comes in and out, so not a lot of solids, not a lot of large solids come out. The drip dispersal, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's about the size of an irrigation pipe, and they've got some patented outlet on it. It's a very small. I'm not even sure how it works, to be honest with you, but it allows the water to just leak out very slowly through that process, and actually sprays a little bit. But it's I guess the proof is in the pudding, in that there are literally hundreds and hundreds of these in Massachusetts, and thousands of them across the country, and they work, and they're in and they work.
Is it used for large
Oh, absolutely.
sites like this, or
Absolutely.
primarily retail? I would think that
They're used for
Get backup on this.
houses and small systems, large systems. They use
706 and 708 Haverhill Street that we have later on here, one of the houses there, the one that's furthest back, I think it's 706, has that.
this change has been approved by the Board of Health.
No, it's been filed with them, but it's not yet approved. But the system itself has been reviewed. There's what's called a general permit, and that general permit it's been reviewed by DEP and approved by DEP. And then that general permit, they spell out how it will be designed and installed. So DEP has already vetted this system, and it has approved the system, as they would with any alternative technology. So it's not, the Board of Health still, of course, has every right to review and approve it. But I think they're going to lean they're going to lean on the DEP general permit, and the fact that, that it's been looked at, vetted, and approved by the state. So,
Thank you, appreciate the extended explanation. Anybody have any other questions? Gentlemen, do you?
Aaron Woodworth, 68 Haverhill Street.
I'm sorry, what was the name?
Woodworth, 68 Haverhill Street. I'm actually representing my sister and brother-in-law Amanda and Rogers Begons are at 124 Leslie Road. And I'm only actually here, I know that, I'm just more here wondering how this affects Leslie Road residents. I have no idea about it. I
left
Yeah,
my sister
no, I
a
think-
voicemail message.
Yeah, she's
tonight.
at
Yeah.
work, so she couldn't be here. But
no, that's fine.
I just found out last night, and I wanted to be here to,
Yeah, the
kind
reason-
of pass it on to her.
Sure, if I may. It's unfortunately, not unfortunate, this is part of the public hearing process. Because John, this is part of a large subdivision, and John owns about 100 acres, all told. And yeah, I don't know if it shows up or not.
It doesn't really.
But the shape of the lot, there's a large wetlands between Leslie Road and this site, and this, again, it's a 100-acre lot. The lot is there's actually several lots now. It's been broken into multiple lots, but there's a funny tail on the lot that goes through the wetlands and reaches all the way over to Leslie Road. And the rule is that you have to notify all abutters within 100 feet of the property, not within 100 feet of the proposed work. But so from where their home is on Leslie Road
even see it.
to, no, I don't even see it, it's probably 1,000 feet away.
Okay.
It probably literally 1,000 feet away. I wish I had an aerial that I could show you how far. So, probably the only impacts they may have is, if the wind is blowing the right way on a day that they're constructing it, they might hear a machine. you know.
That was really, I just wanted
Yeah.
to be able
And that's
to
fair.
give them some comfort that they're not looking out their back.
No,
Not that
no,
we
no.
haven't, not that we could have changed anything anyway, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to know, because I've actually talked to her about purchasing the property, so I kind of want to know for myself too. that
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna look out at a parking lot and then a building, you know?
No, it's a good, no, you never will, because the portion of the property
wetlands back
that
there
reaches out towards Leslie Road is all wetlands, and we would never be allowed to.
Even if we had a caterpillar epidemic and they took every single leaf off of every
I
single
don't think either
deciduous
end
tree,
you see it, yeah.
you-
Not a problem.
The-
Again, it's
yeah.
just, I just want to be able to
won't
pass that
won't even
on,
fit,
so.
the assessor's map doesn't even touch upon Leslie Road
I
because it's so
figured,
far away.
I figured by me being the only one here from, you know, I figured no other residents being here,
Yeah.
that must have been the answer, but, you know,
Well, and as,
I wanted to just.
as we were
protect
trying to
them.
convey, this project actually got vetted,
In 08.
through both planning board review
Sure.
and through Conservation Commission review because of associated wetlands that are there. So it's, this is just the,
I don't
this is
think
a
I'm gonna-
ramification of a person who owns a piece of property that has large acreage and the way the public process law is written, but,
Yeah.
it's always good to be invited to a public meeting because if you aren't interested, you just don't go.
You
Like I
don't even
said.
have to be invited to come.
Right.
So, we're glad
Yeah,
for your
no, I won't take any more
input.
time, I just, like I said, I just wanted to be able to pass on to them that,
Yeah, it's a long, if you
this
get
isn't
on.
gonna impact them in any way.
If you
shape,
get,
or form.
what you can do is, get on Google Earth or Bing or whatever and spot your house.
Yeah, I actually, I was
know-
looking at Google Earth while we were talking, when you guys were talking.
You know where
earlier.
the old hardware store, you know where Winfrey's Fudge is?
Yes.
And directly behind Winfrey's
Les-
Fudge is that
Leslie
little
Road is
retail
sure.
center.
Out here
That
somewhere.
retail center
Like I
is
said,
right
this
here.
is-
This is
Excuse me,
going
I
on
think-
right as you get
I
up
think
on
this
the
is the
It's
rear
going on
of
right next to it.
Absolutely.
So get on Google Earth and spot that, spot your house, and you'll see the distance. It's really far away.
Do you have a card?
No, I probably do.
Many, many acres of woods and wetlands.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you for your time.
Don't go away, we aren't through yet.
Huh?
I said, don't go away, we aren't through yet.
I don't think you need me.
They like the audience.
I do have a couple more questions.
Sure, go ahead.
I think I've asked you this in the past, Charlie, but one of the budding owners is Eugene Ware and Joanne Ware.
Yeah, that's my cousin.
Are they?
Second cousin, actually. He actually was complaining to me about the notification.
Complaining?
Yeah, he was complaining.
What do you want, a city
Well, because he's gotta
telegram?
go to, it's a, you gotta
Oh.
go down and sign for it, so it's a trip down to the post office, so, I think.
My other question is a little bit more of the nature of the concern. The owner of this is listed as TRS Gateway 2 Trust of 1997, John E. Coughlin et al., meaning and others, trustees. I want to know who signed this application. It just says John Coughlin. It doesn't say John E. Coughlin, it doesn't say John E.
John-
Coughlin trustee.
I believe it was, because we shipped it off, I believe it's John Jr., actually, who is Jay. And I think that Jay and Joe are the actual trustees.
Well, I think we need to have a trustee signature on this to make it official.
No, I think it was signed by the trustee.
It doesn't say trustee.
Oh,
No listing of trustees,
okay.
so we don't know who it is. So I think it lacks legal sufficiency here in terms of the application. I think it's an easy fix,
Yeah.
but come in and have it appropriately signed would be my recommendation here. Did you have a memo on this?
No, verbal if I may.
So,
So the first question, based on the other application, do we have a SWEP plan for this?
No, we don't. And on this one, I knew a SWEP was needed, but I know he's not gonna start for a little while. To me, and maybe I'm just looking at this wrong, the SWEP, I thought the stormwater management plan, and there's overlap, but the SWEP I thought was really a separate document that goes to the EPA, and then we copy you on it
Yeah,
when the time comes.
well, but we look to have a full application submittal
Mhm.
with us so we can anticipate things such as talking
Sure.
about whether sanitary facilities, whether spill containment kits are going to be there,
Right.
whatever. And again, because it's a document that needs to be created anyway for a project that has over an acre of disturbance,
Right.
we just look at it, okay, so you have to fill the EPA template out a little early,
Yeah.
and you just don't,
All right, that's fine.
just don't
We can
put
do
the
that.
contractor's name
I mean,
on
it's
it.
right in the stormwater management standards. One of the checkoffs is has the SWIP been produced or has it not, you know what I mean? So it's sort of like,
I understand.
but if the preference of this commission is to have.
Preference
it,
of this commission is to have it,
That's fine.
because we lots of times do not get it later on. So this
Right.
is our bite at the apple, so to speak,
Sure.
because we really should get it.
Right. No, I agree. And it's required that the commission receive it under the stormwater management standards. It just is a little bit, well, it's not
Right.
unclear. It can be filed either before or after. It actually gives the applicant.
But I just figured since,
Right.
now, for the commissioner's edification, you didn't get copies of the plans or copies of this submittal because of the fact that it already has planning board special permit issuance. None of the activities here really get involved in needing a wetlands permit because the stormwater detention basins and stuff that this connects to were already constructed and closed out with certificate of compliance issuance under the order of conditions that govern the lower, what I call the lower portion, or where the hardware store was, the already built
Correct.
part of the site. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, I explained that, not that I was denying you plans or anything, but this was meant to be sort of an expedited process, both to the applicant's benefit, but also to the commission's benefit, since there's no sense looking at another set of plans again when you already have seen that set of plans. That being said, because when this project was conceived, I do not believe that our stormwater erosion control bylaw was in existence. So therefore, this particular proposal that's before us was not reviewed under the criteria by a technical consultant using the criteria of our stormwater erosion control bylaw. It was reviewed under Wetlands Protection Act stormwater management standards.
Correct.
It was reviewed by the planning board with their, using the services of H.L. Graham out of Ipswich. So it was reviewed for stormwater standards. So I just wanted to make sure that you're comfortable proceeding without requiring a third-party technical review at this point in time. There hasn't been any,
concerns.
well, I'm going to say, you know, from the professional standpoint, there hasn't been any change,
Right.
substantive change in stormwater management regulations that have any type of applicability to this site. I guess the only thing we might be, if this was coming before us now, we probably would be trying to eke out a little more infiltration.
Which we did, actually. That was it, and that was exactly Larry's review, was the basin that we have at the bottom of the hill. My calculations show that that basin is handling every drop of this water. Larry's like, yeah, you know, I want, you know, he was looking for more, and hence, that's why there's two additional infiltration systems out in front of this.
Well,
site as
but as
So
of,
you-
As a rule, our standard though is to try to preserve the quantity and quality of groundwater on the site.
Sure.
And transporting all the stormwater downhill 2/10 of a mile, 3/10 of a mile away is not necessarily nourishing and sustaining the groundwater on this particular portion of the site. But yes, there is some infiltration there. So that being said,
And he's also capturing the rainwater in the cistern.
Right.
It's being applied to the
Right.
It's just going back.
Right.
So it's going, it's
Right.
infiltrating right there.
so I mean, we already can talk about the fact that previous reviews actually sort of tweaked and put some components in here that would be normally what we would be looking for. So, I do have a little quibble with you, not giving me the inspection and maintenance program, so I need a confirmation that in
Okay.
fact this
Is the same one.
is,
Okay.
well, because it was revised 3 times, and I just want to make sure that I
That's
just
fine.
haven't put my hands on a 4th revision.
I thought.
You could have sent
I
me that
didn't-
as a PDF instead of just
No,
telling me you were
that's
saving
fine.
paper.
I thought we talked about that, and I thought it was okay not to send it, so.
Well, but I just need confirmation of what it is so I can make sure.
Yeah,
this
so
copy
confirm
that I-
O and M date.
Yeah, because I'm going to put this in this file.
Which one is active, and get you a copy, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can just send me as a PDF, just.
Right. Well,
And
when I
that'll,
say-
that'll confirm that
When I say copy now, I mean PDF,
Okay.
that's the way
All right.
the world is going,
So we will be looking for stormwater pollution prevention plan. So I guess we might as well talk about the 800-pound stockpile in the room on this project. This is the site of the incredible moving soil stockpile that we had a number of sessions and go-arounds with, just because of my reference to the fact that it was the incredible moving stockpile. It's going to be graded down. Charlie and I had a discussion on the site. And it actually, it will probably be consumed in this project. What page am I looking for, Charlie?
You know,
Where was that landscaping?
it may have been on the special permit plan. I wonder if-
Yeah, so maybe that's why I'm not looking at it, huh?
You know what, it didn't make it into this set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So I'll need to,
that's okay. We can,
I can get it into the set.
yeah. Well, and also because we're probably, if the commission will accept my recommendation tonight, we're looking for a slight modification of that because basically there's still a substantial mound of soil there. It is all stable. It hasn't moved at all.
Where is it?
Where is it? It's
Here.
right here.
Yeah, and it's about,
You drive in straight off of Forest Ridge
You know-
Drive, and our open space Woods Road in the
Yeah,
restricted
right.
conservation area is just down at the toe of the slope, which, it kept creeping downhill because it was at an excessive incline and not stabilized earlier. So we're not returning to those days of yesteryear, but it's being cut down and I believe pretty much blended in with the normal
Yes.
slope. So there is a landscaping proposal, but the landscaping proposal probably only has about a third of the proposed plantings that I kind of talked to Charlie about. Because my suggestion, if the commission would, support that, is where it's sort of being returned to the original topography. My suggestion was to populate it, plant it, reestablish some vertical components to it of saplings of the same native species that the remaining woods is there. Because it seems kind of funny if you're just walking down the road and all of a sudden you're going to see this totally grassed and cleared hillside just going up with maybe 12 different eastern white pine trees on it when it's probably the size of 4 of these buildings, what the exposed slope would be. So in a sense, it would be kind of a restoration of the woods, but it would be obviously young age, just saplings, but eastern white pine, I'm not sure what the oak is there, there's an oak component. I think there may be some ash, and I'm not sure what else was growing.
There was, I thought there was some maple.
Yeah, there might be some maple too.
So that site buildable?
I'm sorry.
I mean, is that area buildable?
No, it's, you know, that's why we didn't, the drop is, so John, that's why John stored the material
Okay,
there.
as long as it's
It's just
known.
it's just such a, it drops from 130 down to 90, it's a 40-foot drop across the area, so that's why he stockpiled area material there, because it was,
Is that it right there on that drawing?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can
Okay.
see it, it's this.
You know, plant a giant water.
Yeah, it's like a
slide.
big hammer.
Yeah, so, and it was, he was really just stockpiling it, and we'll end up taking that fill and bringing it back into the site and using the site. But the, you know, the design of this is actually, and Brent was, I think, had appreciation for it when we walked it the other day, is that we really are, you know, here's the steep slope through here, and our development is really through, you know, we're really working with the topography of the land there. We're not
Yeah.
carving the hill up. We certainly, there's a high knoll here. We'll take the top off of that, and we'll smooth things out. But for the most part, like, for example, this building right here is a two-story building, and I think this one maybe as well. Yeah, these are both two-story buildings, and what we're doing is the front side of this parking, and then a doorway, and then you come around the back of the building, and it's actually, it's the
They're
second
gonna be like
floor
split
is
levels,
here,
yeah.
so you drop from here to here, it's like a walkout basement, and then it's the same thing, and then you do the same thing. So they're cut into the hill, so the hill's dropping away naturally, and we're fitting the buildings, you know, right into the hill without, you know, we're not just flattening everything and putting it in these big boxes.
You don't think your client will have any problem with Brent's suggestion in regard to populating that area with some
With-
saplings?
No, not at all. It's already proposed, but it's.
You know, we're just kind of
Brent
beefing up
is-
the density so that it'll
Yeah,
match.
Brent is suggesting increasing the density, so.
You're comfortable with it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they're saplings, they're not, it's, yeah.
And if we did have close neighbors, this would also help with the
Yeah.
sound
Right.
screening.
No, I don't see it as being an issue.
It shouldn't be.
It'll help stabilize the slope as well, so.
Let's see. And the only other thing would be, again, to maintain consistency of previous ongoing restrictions for salt, chemical usage, or whatever that was in the original order of conditions, so that would just carry over into the
Correct.
storm event.
Okay.
So do you, so with the same suggestion with a 14-day contingency, that would allow enough
Yeah.
time for you to do the draft
Right.
swept proposal?
And get your landscape sketch.
Yeah, and the landscape sketch.
Yeah, no,
So that
absolutely.
would be, would the commission be comfortable with just office review of their proposed replanting of, basically it's to try and turn it back into a forested slope instead of it just being a field with scattered clumps of trees in it.
Yeah.
Plus a revised application appropriately signed?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, as a trustee, I'm sure it was the trustee.
I'm sure it was too, it just
Yeah,
doesn't
it
say
needs
so
to be
legally.
on. Yeah.
I'm sure there are lots of John Conklins if you Google the name.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a lot of everything if you go with.
So,
So I'm asking,
Sure.
when's the proposed start to construction?
Um,
For?
You know, I know he's gotta get it out to contractors. I would imagine he's probably gonna wanna start before the snow flies. I don't think he's, you know, I can tell when people are getting ready to do things, because, okay, send me the plans, send the plans here, send the plans there, and they haven't done that. So I know they're interested in building, really, I think they're gonna start this building. And then if they get tenants, then they'll move on and do the other buildings. It's a type of thing that, you know, they're not planning on building the whole thing unless they're thinking.
But basically doing the rough site preparation. I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
imagine.
yeah, and getting it started, but and putting it in the first septic system. But then if they get traction and they start getting, you know, bites on it, then they'll continue putting buildings up.
the old hardware store still vacant?
Yeah, that's where, I was just
Yeah, that's
talking
where
about
the-
earlier,
yeah, the
the
Clark
Clark
School.
School is gonna move.
What is the Clark School?
It's just it's a private elementary and secondary school. So,
Okay. Good. So what sort of motion are you looking for, Brent?
Recommend that we close the public hearing and issue a stormwater management permit typical for commercial projects of this nature, incorporating the requirement for submittal and review of the draft stormwater pollution prevention plan and incorporating consistent ongoing conditions that match the previously issued order of conditions with a 14-day time limit for, and the reforestation plan.
And the re-sign that.
And and the explanation of the signature.
Not an explanation, I want to.
Well, I mean, but you wanted him to fully identify, so it was kind of name, printed name, and what his status was as a trustee.
So I've got the SWIP, planting plan, the additional signatures, and the proper O.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Yeah.
make sure I got all that.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Nope.
Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second. And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, unanimous? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. We actually, lots of times, learn a lot from abutters, though, so we do appreciate your interest.
Yeah,
'Cause-
thank you. Glad it worked out perfectly.
That's for this, right? This is it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Got a signature right.
No memo on the next one.
No, there isn't. Part of that has to do with the voluminous file. The other part has to do with site inspection today. Do you want to go over your review and request for,
Yeah,
since
sure.
you're representing?
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway?
This is there's an order of conditions issued for some improvements. This is 406 Stone Street. It was a machine shop. Again, I think the commission is pretty familiar, probably more familiar with the history of this sign. Then it became they did some improvements to the exterior. They actually tore down one end of the building and rehabilitated that end of the building. Restriped the pavement. It was we actually put in. It was proposed to be some landscaping islands at the back of this. So I guess that was altered between. I didn't know until I did the COC. That was altered between discussions between John Kaufman and Larry Graham. We also cleaned up. There was a catch basin in this area that was cleaned up and a little erosion, and water quality swale was installed. A lot of this, the concern for the site is its proximity to the well, and there was, I remember Scott Martin at the time, I think was the chair of the water board, came in and expressed his concerns about it. So I know John did. I was not intimately involved with it. I believe that John has assured me, I don't know if Brent can confirm it or not, has assured me that there was testing that was done of the wells, and that it was found that there was no contamination, that it was heading for the drinking water well, and that those, at least that's what the findings were. I don't personally have copies of those, and I wasn't really in that group. That was something that John worked out with an LSP for the property. When I went when we did the as-built and we requested to do the COC, we found that the landscape, proposed landscape down, because this had been all paved, the intention was to pull out some pavement, that had been changed. And according to John, between him and Larry Graham, what they did is instead of doing a landscape island, they put in a 5-foot wide infiltration trench, so it's crushed stone, and it has the same effect of providing for infiltration. There's also an infiltration trench along the front of the building, and that was as was proposed. I don't have my letter in front of me, so I know the other thing that was.
Oh, do you want me to read that? Read your letter?
No, I think I read it. It's a pretty short.
Yeah, you have 3 bullets on it.
Yeah, one was that it lacks a dumpster pad.
Yep.
And then there was no landscape, there was a landscape plan that was submitted, but it was really, he didn't do the landscaping on the back of the buildings I mentioned. And it did show
You
some
didn't do any landscaping on the
trees
front
along the
either.
front, but the landscaping wasn't done. There was no dumpster pad put in. So those were really, those two, I mean, they changed it. The dumpster pad, the conversion of that to an infiltration trench instead of a landscaped island, and the lack of landscaping along the front of the building. The building just had, the landscaping that's there now is really, it's just grass, it's just lawn. So that was, now I went down today, if you saw the same thing I did. He is, Brent was good enough to give me a heads up, I believe it was well before the holiday. In fact, I think it may have been the week before the holiday week, that the lack of a dumpster pad was a serious concern. And I got some details over to John for that. And I know I drive by the site quite often, and yesterday morning I noticed they had started, actually, no, it was this morning, I noticed that they had started installing it. And right now there is a hole in the ground with the crushed stone and the boards in, but the pad hasn't been poured yet. I imagine the concrete trucks are coming in the morning. So that piece isn't done.
This was being used reasonably recently with storage for trucks for a roofer out of Olympic Roofing, is that right?
No, that's who is currently in
That's
it,
who's in
and
it.
apparently who's interested
That's
in
correct.
purchasing the building.
Right, he wants to buy it. And there was also a question, I don't know if John answered this for you. There are storage bins, and I'm told that there's strictly, it's ladders and staging that are being stored inside of those bins, that there's no chemicals or materials beyond that it's strictly ladders and staging material.
So,
Where do they store their roofing tar?
Yeah.
I believe in the building.
Wasn't this site subject to a notice of violation or
Yeah, because of the drains inside
within the last couple of
well,
years?
there were 2 incidences of violations and enforcement orders and fining with the commission just in the start of this project. They cut trees and started demoing the building before actually recording the permit or giving us proper notification. They didn't have erosion controls installed. They didn't have the order of conditions on the site with the subcontractor who was hired to do the work. Though we ended up fining Mr. Coughlin, and then we had We actually had three incidences. The second incident, if I recall correctly, was the storage containers that were pushed off the pavement, the steel pods, shipping containers that were pushed into the buffer zone, plowed up the dirt and everything without contacting us. So, and then most recently, we had the irrigation well drilling situation that happened with Vera Artesian Well Company or whatever, with the discharge of a sediment plume that they actually took their little bobcat with its bucket and drove it across and dumped it right in where we're going to see one of the pictures tonight. So if I may, I'm sorry I don't have a written memo for you, but it's because I've been trying to put the pieces together, and the site visit was this afternoon, and it's probably easier just to talk to you about this because I'm afraid there's a number of compliance issues here. First off, we'll start by the fact that the order of conditions expired October 25th, 2013. Number one. The only reason that probably has any applicability is because the number of the conditions that were required by that permit, such as the dumpster pad, you've already heard that the dumpster pad is presently being worked on, as that photograph shows. The reason the positioning of the dumpster pad was an item of concern was because that's first off, that is just outside the 100-foot buffer zone, as can be seen on the plan that I put out in front of you. It was positioned there specifically to keep it as far away from the wetlands and to not have something that would have materials that might be deleterious, have them in an open situation where it could actually be viewed in case there was stuff hemorrhaging out of there. And that was a specific, let's see, the dumpster pad was condition number 37. So that is in the process of being done.
What was the original date on the order? Was it
October 25th, 2013.
No, I mean that was when it ran out, but the original it was issued on 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would still be.
So it might have been
active
subject to the
because
Permit Extension Act.
So
But we never had an inquiry or anything on it.
Right.
So.
Right. But it would fall into the Permit Extension Act.
Yeah, but it still doesn't excuse the fact that upon completion of the project or within 1 year of the issuancy of an occupancy permit,
Sure.
as stated in number 28, there was supposed to be a certificate of compliance request. That building's had an occupancy permit.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So
as far as-
there's, like I said, there's a number of issues of
Yeah.
compliance here, so I wasn't even going to mention that one. Number 29. Condition number 29 says, no driveway footing, roof drain with an above ground or subsurface discharge, nor any garage floor drain, nor any deck or addition or shed or pool shall be installed within the 100-foot buffer zone to a wetland resource area or the 200-foot riverfront area without prior written permission of the Raleigh Conservation Commission. Now, I guess it depends on whether you consider the storage containers. I consider them the same as sheds. And we've got 2 steel storage containers that are located within the 100-foot buffer zone and are actually probably 65 to 70 feet from an isolated vegetated wetlands area. But then there was no communication from the responsible party or Gateway Realty Trust in regards to whether that was an appropriate place to be positioning these storage containers. Or at least we have no record of an inquiry about them at all. So I already talked about the dumpster pad. Conditions number 39, 40, 41, and 42 all deal with water quality. You are aware that both because of concerns from the water department as well as concerns of the commission, since that's the Zone 2 groundwater contributory area to the drinking water well that's right across the street. And where we have a problem here is condition number 40, following completion of demolition and construction activities and before a certificate of compliance may be issued, water samples shall again be collected and analyzed for comparison with the original samples. And the results shall be reported to the commission in writing. No certificate of compliance will be issued until post-project monitoring shows that water quality does not differ significantly from pre-project water quality. Again, the files, I can't locate that there's been any communication, any further monitoring or sampling done since the original suite of testing that was initiated in 2010. Because conditions 41 goes on to say that there needs to then be consultation with the commission if in fact there is a detrimental change or a negative change to the readings of the monitoring of those monitoring wells which were established around the site. So there's that. Condition number 66, all stumps, brush, and debris shall be removed from the site, including existing construction and demolition debris. This material shall be disposed of properly at an off-site facility licensed to receive the material. Records to the destination of the material, including stumps, brush, and excess fill, shall be kept and supplied to the commission if requested. So the results of my site visit today show that almost exactly the same area where the sediment plume from the well dewatering was done is now all strewn with concrete rubble. I have no idea whether that's fresh concrete rubble or old concrete rubble. In regards and also we've got some kind of washed gravel that is being bulk stockpiled that is off of the pavement and therefore not on an impervious surface. And we have some kind of partially contaminated, by contaminated I mean there's pieces of building debris within this dirt that's again off of the pavement on the bare ground, just dumped. I believe that is a violation of condition 66. But I'll leave that up to you folks. So if you want me, there are some ongoing conditions, but I cannot recommend to the commission the issuance of any type of certificate of compliance at this point in time, and I will defer to the commission if you wish to have me issue a notice of non-compliance for these various items that were evidence and documented today in the site visit.
Everybody comfortable with Brent's recommendation?
Right.
Do you want a notice of non-compliance issue?
Yeah, for the record.
Okay.
So we'll have to file for a new, well, I'm just trying to figure out how we get compliance. We'll have to
You want to have to
for a
address,
new-
you don't have, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one.
But if by issue.
I forget, no,
He wants-
no, I forgot one, I'm sorry, I forgot one. Okay, we had a catch basin with a sediment forebay and a crushed stone check dam put in place. I can attest to you that it is functioning very well. There is at least 3 inches of accumulated sediment that is mounded up and spread out onto the pavement because it is doing what it's supposed to be doing, but that also indicates that there's been a deficient lack of maintenance on the site. The top photograph, can you find the catch basin? Great, in that picture. I took at least 6 good-sized crushed stones from the crushed
Tell us this, where's Waldo?
dissipator out of the grill of the catch basin, and so
See his hat?
It's true.
I knew what you meant.
it is suffering from a lack of maintenance. And I guess you could also say that possibly the stockpiling of gravel and other debris, that material, some of it that has been on the pavement, because all the pavement slopes down to that sediment forebay in the catch basin there, that's probably why there's all that muck has accumulated there. But it is working. Charlie did a good job.
Thank you very much.
The design.
Yeah, just to go to a point of process there was a discussion about issuing a notice of non-compliance. Now, does that mean that I then need to file for the COC over again? Or,
More than likely.
because I'm just wondering if a better way to handle this is just to continue this.
Well, we can
and say,
certainly
here's
continue
the-
it, but you're gonna be giving a timeline, and I need to verify that in fact the Permit Extension Act actually does apply
Okay,
to this order.
Yeah, I
Because if
agree.
the order is not valid,
right.
and any of these actions are resulting in activities that would alter, fill, dredge, or remove in areas subject to regulation under our bylaw
Which is the whole.
or the Wetlands Protection Act,
Right.
then there might be the need for a new permit. But I'm hoping that the Permit Extension Act has kept this
I hope so,
order
too.
alive
Right.
so that you can cut to the chase, and just like you're putting in the dumpster pad now, you can take actions to address the
Well,
identified.
There is, John is, the reason why this is a hot issue for John is he's trying to sell the property.
Right.
He's gonna sell, he has an interest in trying to make this happen quickly as well. So if the Permit Extension Act is in place and the order of conditions is still active, I think John has an interest in, is as much of an
Right.
interest as the commission of taking care of these things. So rather than issue a non-compliance, is just to leave this public hearing open, and he can start addressing these issues and try to expedite this as quickly as possible.
No, again, the commission accepted my recommendation is to go on the record and issue a notice of noncompliance. We have had too many instances of noncompliance and violations on this site. I believe it would be detrimental to the commission's authority and responsibility not to document the fact that my site visit today turned up a number of conditions of the order that are being violated. And there could be a detriment here too. I mean, the whole reason this water quality monitoring was required was not only to address the past history of contamination on this site, but was also to protect Gateway 2 Realty Trust as the responsible party here, to show that their development activities on this site had not caused or worsened the possible historic contamination.
Now, John may be mistaken on this, because the years have gone by. When I discussed this with him specifically when we were putting together the COC, and he said, we tested before construction, we tested after the construction. He said it was flatline. So he knew that there was testing before and after, and I had a discussion with him just tonight that the LSP supposedly sent everything to you. Now, maybe John's wrong on this point.
Or maybe it never got
Yeah,
here. I mean, that's the other thing too. To
right,
be quite honest with you, sure, there could have been a mistake made in the office,
yeah,
but we are also, as you may have picked up on when I was reading that specific requirement, not only were we supposed to get the final post-construction monitoring results, but we were then supposed to get a specific communication from the responsible party requesting to not be required to do any further monitoring and to verify, in fact, that the pre-construction and the post-construction monitoring results were comparable,
Yes.
equivalent,
Yeah, no, obviously
and
that
that
didn't
therefore there
happen.
was no water quality, no further water quality concerns or monitoring required. So there was supposed to be a there was supposed to be a response, a written submittal, and then a response from the commission.
Right.
I have neither of those.
Yeah.
Did we get the original pre-construction?
Yes,
article?
yes. I do have those, I have those results, I have the lab results, I have the communication from the LSP, I can't remember his name, but I've got it right in the file there.
Well, back
So,
35 years ago, 36, when I moved into Raleigh. Within, I don't know, 3 or 4 years subsequent to that, that well across the street had to be shut down from pollution, whose party for polluting was never officially recognized, but it was commonly believed to come from this site.
Yeah, it makes sense that it probably
And,
was.
Anyway, I think, and given the past problems with this site within the last 2 or 3 years, I think it's appropriate to issue notice of non-compliance with the order of conditions, is what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
But I think we should formally vote on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a sticky site.
Do I hear a motion?
That's fine.
To,
So move.
do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? I think Mr. Coughlin has shown a history of stepping up and addressing these kinds of things in the past, so I would expect that all this will be handled expeditiously.
And obviously, if I'm deficient, if my file is deficient in regards
Well,
to
let's make it,
to
yeah.
getting the final post-construction results and then getting a communication
Right.
validating that there wasn't a change
Sure.
or an appreciable change or whatever, and we
Yeah.
didn't respond to it, you know, please make me aware of that.
Okay. I will,
Otherwise, I would be inclined to think that a month's time would be sufficient for most all these things to be
Yeah.
addressed. If water quality monitoring needs to be done again, and I'm sure that the timeline may not, you know, accommodate that, just within 30 days, please, you know, let us know. But if it's just a case that I'm
Yeah.
missing some records.
okay, no, I appreciate the commission's time.
Well, one more thing. Where does this stand with regard to the hearing request for a certificate of compliance, and we voted to issue a notice of, certificate of, yeah.
Then you can vote to continue that,
Yeah.
if you wish, to just an open continuance that would only be brought back once all the items of the non-compliance have been addressed.
Okay, do I hear a motion to that, or
So move.
do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
So does, I just so I understand, did that motion just make it so that I don't have to refile the COC again? I just
Right.
have to.
You may want to do that, because I think you're going to have to revise your record conditions plan to show the dumpster.
That's
back.
true, but I mean, that could, whatever, it's just,
Yeah.
it's a short application, I'm just. always-
Exactly, yeah.
I'm just trying to think of how it can be done most efficiently.
Well, that's why we just continued it,
Right, okay, I appreciate.
but
that.
tied it to the issues of non-compliance.
Right.
Should be a logical time, since that's.
I will, I'll have a discussion with John tomorrow morning, and we can, I'll get back to you with what, you know, realistic timeline is.
Kept you busy tonight, Charlie.
Yeah. Kept you busy.
Thank you.
Thank you, good to see you.
Night, Charlie. is 8:45. Agenda item continued.
Email from John DeCoulis, dear Mr. Paislak, please continue the proposed Marion Way project DEP file number 093-0625 to your August 19th, 2014 meeting. That's 2 meetings away from here.
Yes, that's when we anticipate having the technical review done by Horst.
You need a vote on that?
So moved.
Okay.
Move to continue.
Second.
Move to continue, and the second from David. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
It's unanimous.
Once again, it's unanimous.
Okay,
Whole bunch of certificates.
now you move into where I think I've been fortunate enough to give you memos, I think. They've been a busy little bee with people wanting to close out their projects. and stuff. So. Yeah, 98 Trowbridge Circle, which we had the resolution of the buffer zone intrusion and the replanting and revegetation, which our 2014 aerial pictometry is now available and accessible through the office. And we can see, look at that, you can even see the shadows of the no cut, no disturb posts down there.
What's the date of those pictometries?
April 21st.
So those are what we'll be working with for the foreseeable future.
That's what I have.
All the ones that we will have.
Yeah, that's what's accessible to me now, so that's what you're going to be seeing when I produce pictometry. Unless there's a reason for me, I can access the 2012 and 2007 series still too, so I can see changes, which is sometimes quite illuminating. But anyway, on this project, so we do have a memo, and so I'll just let you read the memo, yes. Unless you have any.
Well, you all have the memo, I assume.
Yes.
And it concludes with, in essence, that we consider issuing a complete certificate of completion, SMP number 07-2012, if the waiver request from the as-built plan requirement is granted. The waiver request goes up to 2 paragraphs before, where it says, therefore, the property owner requests a waiver from condition requiring an as-built plan prepared by a registered professional. Reason being is that there was nothing built or any structural aspects to the project.
Well, an as-built.
And we've got.
An as-built plan is not gonna show you anything more than what you already have.
Right, right. And because there was the wetlands intrusion, we actually required a survey plan to document the placement of the fill. So at the time it was surveyed, it wasn't quite all graded and everything, but it gives us, well, in my opinion, it gives us as much of an accurate description of the site.
Memo indicates that the property owner has met the requirements of the enforcement order and directive, and that the site is returned to compliance.
Yeah.
Therefore, do I hear a motion to issue a complete certificate of completion?
So moved.
And granting of the waiver request.
You weren't done yet. So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Approved.
Great. Okay. Next agenda item is for 708 and 706 Haverhill Street. Mr. Bussing's common driveway with two single-family dwelling projects, which at the previous meeting, the commission issued a complete certificate of compliance for the order of conditions that governed the site. There was a little bit of a delay in submitting this request for stormwater management permit. But that was submitted, and everything's fine there. There are some ongoing conditions.
And a recommendation that we consider issuing a complete certificate of completion for this project at 207, 208 Haverhill Street. Map 5, Parcel 8, Lot 1, James G. Bussing, Sr. With conditions 42, 43, 44, and 45 continuing.
Yeah, actually, just as a little footnote here, the assessor's designation actually changed because they subdivided, so it's both lots 1 and 2. When they first proposed the project to us, it was just the lot 1, but then they split that for the 2 lots, so it's now lot 1 and lot 2, both. Which is how I made out the certificate of compliance, so that there wouldn't be any issues with sale or transference of the second house. So, yeah, 706, I think, is the one you just completed. Oh, and actually this, so 706 here has the same kind of drip septic field. It's up on the hill here. It's actually pumped up to the hill in this cleared area up here, which is now all grassed. It's kind of like a drip irrigation system that then has a thin covering of soil on top of it that then you vegetate over on top of that. So it's subsurface, but not very far down.
It's not deep, no.
No. And apparently it doesn't freeze, I guess.
As long as it's still
Gonna find out.
flowing, it won't freeze.
I guess.
Do we have a motion to issue the complete certificate subject to those conditions and the discussion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Yeah, that's
Keep us all awake.
Thank you.
This is 42 Wilson Pond Lane.
Yes.
The new request for partial certificate of compliance, number 63-094 at 42 Wilson Pond Lane, map 6, parcel 41, lot 8, Elaine Green.
Sorry, you get it?
Yeah.
Order 6394 goes to construction of the roadway and the stormwater management systems for Wilson Pond Lane, and I assume that's why this partial pertains to that.
There was never a request for a certificate of compliance. I don't know what happened with the Wilson Pond Realty Trust, and I actually don't even know whether whatever happened long before I came to work here in the town, so
And to do with
I
what?
don't know whether that road got taken by eminent domain, or whether it actually is a town road or not. I'm assuming it is.
Well, there was major litigation, as you intimated in your memorandum, between the
Well,
Wilson Pond Realty Trust and the Arizara folks on the other side of the line, and went back and forth with the courts on various things for a long time, and I don't know if it's still been resolved totally.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
But with regard to this particular piece of property.
So this is the strategy that we've been utilizing, is that when they do come up, when it does come up that this order is uncovered in a title search, we do a partial certificate of compliance. I examine the lot and determine whether there's any stormwater infrastructure on it, and also whether there's any wetland resource areas on it. This particular lot, the development, the construction of the home never required an order, because you have to go way to the rear of the property, and then there's only a little corner. Probably actually shows up better in the aerial photo than it does on the plans.
Oh, here?
Yeah, yeah. And then I think that other line that's 100 feet away from it is the 100-foot buffer zone line, but
Right.
it's not labeled as such because, you know, they didn't need anything from the commission to develop that lot, so they didn't put a lot of effort into the plan. Just the septic system, which is, you know, what they needed approval for.
And actually,
This also helps me a little bit by going to the Board of Health, because then I find these as-built plans, which have more information than we have, since we just have the proposed plans. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, that's quite all right. So, I mean, the applicant himself is asking for a partial certificate.
Well, yes, yeah, they wish to have it closed, and it actually turns out that this Mrs. Breen is the second part of the Green couple a little while ago that we ended up getting the donation of the land from the Ashley Road development.
Great.
They apparently have divorced, but anyway, she's still going by the last name of Breen.
So, do I hear a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance as requested?
So moved.
Mike? Judy, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
It's unanimous. Thank you.
item is a new request for a certificate of compliance number 63-126 at 241 Boxford Road, map 2, parcel 19, lot C, Teresa C. LaBelle.
This outstanding order of conditions recorded came to light by another person off of LaBelle Road whose title examiner, I guess, didn't really know how to read orders of conditions too well or look up recorded plans, and somehow thought that an order had something to do with their lot. And in my tracking it down, it went back to, this used to be referred to as 245 Boxford Road, and I think when the 911 addresses getting renumbered or whatever, it changed into 241, but it still didn't change the fact that the assessor's map, block and lot, referred to this individual parcel that doesn't have any frontage on LaBelle Road, which is a private roadway anyway. Well, it doesn't have frontage on it anyway. The frontage is on Boxford Road. And it turned out that in researching this further, Mrs. LaBelle came in, Mr. is deceased, came in and was under the impression that this driveway hadn't been constructed, but that she might want to do it. Well, I said, we got to take care of this first, and you can go off and do you know anyone locally that you can talk to about possibly doing it. And so, but she thought it hadn't been done. But as you can see from the aerial photo, and I even tried to use the marking system that we have there too, although I should have boosted up the text, but you can see I put some red flags down there that actually you can see where the driveway corridor was originally cut, and it's just grown back in, which makes sense when you think about it not being maintained and that it was done in 1991. Also, the fact it triggered an enforcement action by the commission because it was initiated without having a valid permit. Yeah, that's a shot that I took from the street this morning. I realized that it's mostly all green leaves and stuff, but you can sort of see, you can see the tire tracks where somebody did pull in to turn around or something there. And you can actually see, looking through, you can see further back into the woods here because that's the corridor. But it has just all filled in because it's basically, it's been 20 years. So the recommendation here is to issue a complete certification and to list what appears to be one of the few conditions that appears to be an ongoing condition, where the commission specifically stated that there shall be no widening, surfacing, or changing in any manner the dimensions or construction of the driveway without specific ConCom permission. Now, that's probably kind of redundant because any proposed activity that would remove, fill, dredge, or alter would have to come before the commission anyway because it's very close to wetlands there. In fact, it may even be closer than the 25-foot no disturbance zone that we usually like to impose an unaltered buffer zone. But that's to be determined later on for purposes of our exercise to try and close out this old recorded order. It seemed that it was reasonable, since I had all sorts of, the commission went and did a site visit, and there was really pretty specific references to the fact that the driveway was pretty well nearly constructed by the time they issued the enforcement order. Just its length of it may not have been as long as it was intended to be, but I didn't see how we could quote-unquote invalidate it when there was so much documentation in the record that activities had occurred.
Before we vote on that, your memo seems to have a missing word right there.
Yeah, it very well may have.
So you may want to adjust that in your record.
Okay. Yeah, probably resource barriers.
Okay,
Think a lot faster than that.
Looking for a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance incorporating the condition that was just noted by Brent. Or your motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Thank you very much.
Kersinger?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Saunders Lane? Total wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the new request for certificate of compliance number 63-202 at 23 Saunders Lane, map 17, parcel 36, lot 3, Charles Pensinger.
Yeah, briefly, this would be a recommendation for a partial certificate of compliance because the town still has outstanding issues with the Saunders Lane development. There's still issues of tax obligations as well as the fact that I think there's a couple of parcels that are still in the developer's name out there. The town did take Saunders Lane by eminent domain. It was not a friendly taking. But,
Remind me where-
well, I'm not sure that I could, I think there's other issues of non-compliance on Saunders Lane, so it's probably easier to take a look at lot by lot when these things come up. The development of this particular lot did not have an order of conditions issued for it. There was an RDA because a corner of the dwelling actually is in the 100-foot buffer zone, but it's a relatively insignificant percentage of the structure itself. But there is a good portion of stormwater basin that is in the lot and within the 100-foot buffer zone. And so when I did the inspection, I specifically inspected to see if the stormwater basin was functioning. Surprisingly enough, the outlet was very free, not obstructed by anything. There's a few trees growing sort of on the sides of the basin, but for the good extent, it's mostly all herbaceous cover on it.
Which one in
Where
this
are we
picture?
looking at?
Okay,
This one?
that one right there, yes.
This?
Yep, so this is the basin right here.
Okay, that
This
whole
is
thing.
that, well, actually,
That's
this
what I
is it.
thought, yeah.
This is it right here. It's sort of like a big
Yeah.
squash.
It's fairly flat too, if I recall.
And so the outlet is right there, you can actually see
Yeah,
the
that's
head
what I
wall.
thought, yeah.
We've only got these couple of pine trees, the rest of this is all, actually some kind of creeping vine thing that's mostly in there. Nice raspberry bushes over here, it's too bad they were nowhere near ripe when I had to go
I
there.
read it was ripening the last 2 days.
In a day or two.
Yeah, I was gonna say after the rain and some nice sunshine, I'll probably say it's.
Saunders Lane is the road that comes off of Weathersfield Street and intersects Pine Needle. Is that correct?
Is it Pine Needle or is it?
It's a green area.
Some green needle, some needle.
Yeah, green, yeah.
Green needle,
something-
yeah.
Needle, yeah. Green,
Yeah, so, and when I did walk the basin, I found just a couple of things in in the buffer zone to the wetlands, which the property owner promptly picked up and took care of, so.
So we're looking for partial here,
Yes, that applies only to this lot.
and
And there's 2 ongoing conditions.
yeah, I'm a little confused about the first one. It says number 17, use drainage maintenance manual. I don't know what
Well-
guidance that gives to anybody reading this. The manual's gonna be 1.5 inches thick, and whether there's a specific section.
Yeah, well, don't even ask me for where the manual is or whatever, but basically, that's just, technically, now that the town's taken it, and I would assume has taken responsibility for the stormwater basin, but I just looked, and when this had happened on Saunders Lane before, when there was lots with a detention basin, and I just inserted that because back when they wrote the order of conditions, they didn't know enough to say about ongoing maintenance of stormwater DMPs, so that was the only reference I could come close to it, so I put it in there. Basically, because the town's taken the roadway and the infrastructure, though, it's a town responsibility now.
Do I hear a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance incorporating the 2 conditions noted with regard to maintenance and fertilizer?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
I'm sorry, who moved? Who seconded? Thank you.
East of Lauderdale.
Pardon me?
East of Lauderdale.
No, when I find out about these things, especially when it has the potential for kiboshing the sale of their property, I really try, to get it on your schedule and take care of it as quickly as possible. I mean, sometimes I'm able to do it, sometimes I'm not able to do it.
Good intent regardless of the other.
Well, just trying to be responsive, especially when it's a situation like this where it's really, the developers who left everybody with a problem later on. I shouldn't say that. Oh, that was it.
Status report, permits and enforcement, if any.
Well, I was contacted by Mr. Michael DeRosa, who seemed to indicate that Mr. Sabatini had engaged his services for possibility of preparation of a restoration plan.
Good.
But I've had, other than getting an email, we emailed back and forth just saying, we need to talk, and I try to talk to him, and he says, no, just talk to me later.
There was a
I saw Mr. Sabatini tonight going to the historic committee meeting.
Now, you blazed the trail around the corner of Sabatini's property through the wilderness.
No, I have not set foot on Mr.
I didn't say
Sabatini's
that.
property.
Said
You
around.
said I blazed a trail
Around the
around.
corner.
Well, it's our corner.
Right, I know that.
Oh, okay, all right, well, it wasn't clear from what you said, I don't want to.
So that you can get to the other end without
Yeah, I've
going
got
on
to
his
do
property.
I got to do some more pruning to get to that impacted site.
Periodic maintenance, I assume.
Well, I got to finish cutting my way through the multi-floor rows.
Stung by bees.
But yes, the site is the site is relatively accessible without my having to wander off of municipal property.
All right, anything else?
There probably is, but
Where do things stand with regard to almost floats and docks and boardwalks down in Raleigh River?
oh, I'm waiting to hear back. Yes, I have had communication with DEP. They are in contact with their Chapter 91 office, but that person is currently on vacation and will not be back until the week of July 14th, starting July 14th.
Okay. Anything else? Ask for a motion to adjourn? All right,
So we-
David move.
Second.
All second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. We're adjourned. Thank you.